Story 1. Posted this a while ago in a topic related to how men deal with trauma and how it plays a role in the high gender disparity of suicide numbers. Mr. Cowan in the article talks about how men hide their emotions, so I thought I could share something. In my experience, there has been a distinct pattern with the breaking of world-shattering news and how it can affect many men. I will give an example. Ultrasound. No heartbeat. Technicians don't give that sort of news. I enter and break the news to them. The fetus is no longer viable. I am very sorry. Woman's reaction, tears, crying. But then very down to business in many cases. What happens now? Who do we see now? Where is that? When will this happen? And so forth. They will spend the rest of their lives dealing with this loss and pain. Many times openly to at least someone. Confide in a friend, their mother, a therapist. Long-term, slow burn, male reaction, stoic silence, quiet tears, holding wife's hand. As soon as the man is alone in a room with me, it all comes crumbling down. They let loose. They let it all out. It is huge. It is impossible to describe. It is pure, unfiltered emotion. Grief, loss, sadness, confusion, desperation, everything. This is his one chance to let his defenses down. He will never see me again. He can show me this now, quickly. Like an explosion, it's so fast and powerful. When the wife reappears, it's like nothing ever happened. Back to quietly stoic. Bottling it up. Keeping it all hidden. All inside. He feels that he has to be strong. He has to keep himself together to help his wife and family. He will go and have beers with his friends in a few weeks, and he will have a stoic attitude there as well. Yeah, I'm doing okay, but Teresa is really struggling. Really hard to try and help her. He may not ever share a single feeling or emotion with anyone, ever for the rest of his life, about his loss. His trauma. It is his to deal with alone. That is very, very hard. So maybe he starts having another drink. Alone. Maybe he starts being a little reckless. Now he is angry and he doesn't quite know why. Now he's thrown a punch at someone at the pub when he has never been that sort of guy before. In my life and career, I have seen this sort of scenario and similar play out time after time. Men are hurting. They are hurting badly. They don't show it. They aren't allowed to show it. Why can't he fix this? Why can't he fix someone else's sadness? Why can't he fix his own sadness? He is a failure. This makes them feel trapped, helpless, failing everyone around them he is responsible for, even though he has been battling and being strong for weeks, months, years. He is supposed to be the one to make things okay. These particular men don't kill themselves because they are weak, but because they have been strong for too long. Really helps contextualize why, even if you think you can handle a man's vulnerability, he still won't show it. I read most of the replies, and the love we're showing each other in this thread is amazing. Now we have to bring that into the real world. Because all it takes is just one time, and the walls come up forever. Story 2. From my experience, your little involuntary reactions will tell him if he can keep showing more emotion to you. So, when he shows a tiny bit of upsetness or anger about an event, if you react in the right way, he will keep opening up more each time. If his emotion is met with awkwardness, a joke, or indifference, he will store that information in his subconscious. And no matter how many times you tell him, I am here for you, he won't open up to you. Thank you so much for the awards, all those kind words, and so many upvotes. Really unexpected. And to all the guys who had a bad reaction experience, please give us more than one chance. Don't shut us out and show nothing on your face. Let us know with a subtle facial expression that you didn't like it. Story 3. Never joke about him needing to stop being emotional. Don't tell him to toughen up or anything like that, even if it's just teasing. Being teased about something teaches us that we can't open up about it. Second, make him feel like he doesn't have to crank the wheel to feel loved. Society pretty solidly reinforces that guys only get love or care when we work for it. We are the ones who have to ask the other out. We are the ones that plan dates or make things happen. If you want him to feel safe enough to open up to you, he needs to believe deep down that the generator of care and romance will continue to turn not only if he lets go, but even if he thinks he's applying the brakes. Sweep him off his feet once in a while. Take him out for a whole day and don't tell him what the plan for the day is, other than to set aside time for it so you can be the one in control for a little bit and show him you can turn that generator all on your own. Story 4. Be careful what you say. My ex-wife tried for over 15 years to get me to open up. When I did, I got a suck it up comment, and all that work went down the drain. Story 5. You can't. It's not only ingrained in us from childhood that boys don't cry. It's also reinforced later in life when we try it out. When a man cries without an absolutely tragic reason, it is met with awkward, uncomfortable stares at best, and sometimes open hostility. There is nothing wrong with being a man. Society is wrong for treating us as less than human for showing any emotion other than anger and amusement. If you want your partner to open up, you have to spend a serious amount of time not judging them. Never make comments like toughen up or mention a man card for the little things, even jokingly. Those things will only reinforce the walls. Story 6. For me personally, it took a few months to feel comfortable enough to open up more and more to my last girlfriend. And I'm glad I did, as I think it brought us much closer in general. Of course, I was also lucky because she's a good person and never used any of that against me, which is the risk when you share things like that, unfortunately. I can't say she did something specific to make me feel better, but as I got to know her more and more every day, I realized that she is someone I can trust and who won't judge me or use these things against me. She never really pushed me to open up. We've had a couple of conversations about it, but she was always very understanding, which definitely helped. Story 7. I would ask yourself if you really want him to be vulnerable. The thing about vulnerability is it rarely stays on script. So if you have an imagined ideal of what his vulnerability looks like or what he'll say, then you need to be prepared for it to be totally different and perhaps shocking. I was in couples counseling, and my girlfriend told the therapist she was open to whatever I might say. The therapist said, even if he asks you to pee on him? That wasn't what I was about to say, but I felt supported by the therapist. My read on my girlfriend was that she was ready for female vulnerability, but not male vulnerability. She expected my vulnerability to resemble her experience with her female friends. My fear was that she'd see the inside of my mind and be terrified, then need me to reassure her at my moment of vulnerability, a very uncomfortable maneuver. The therapist sensed the same thing. It took a few more sessions until she was really ready for my vulnerability. You don't seem disingenuous. I just wonder if you're ready, and if you're not, then your guy will sense that. Story 8. Whatever you do, make sure he does not fall in love with you. I do not have bad intentions with this comment, but when a guy feels safe around a girl, there is a high chance of developing other feelings. Story 9. If you want to do this, you'll have to do two things. 1. Open up first yourself and understand he won't match your level of intimacy for a while. Support him in the little things, such as a bad day at work. Don't push, but let him know that you're there for him, and actually prove it with your actions. The vast majority of your gender pays lip service to this without wanting it, so you'll have to work to overcome that. It won't be super fast, but it is doable. Edit. I read some of the comments. Thank you for actually caring. Most don't. Story 10. I was vulnerable with a girlfriend once who begged me to show my emotions. She left me a month later. The reason? I wasn't masculine enough for her because I opened up about my emotions that she had begged me to do for months. I stopped trying to rationalize it years ago, but I'm sure it's the first question I will have for God. Other than why does skin regrow but not teeth? Story 11. Show him you are trustworthy by being trustworthy and not calling attention to it or to yourself. Genuinely be at peace with men not being 100% in control at all times and demonstrate that. Story 12. I have really bad childhood trauma. Through the years, I've told only 2 people only to be alienated by them. One of them was a girlfriend, and she told me to call her when I'm not sad because it's ruining her mood. I decided not to tell anyone until I met my current girlfriend. She seemed so open and made me feel so comfortable so quickly. I thought, you know what? I'm going to open up. I opened up like I never had before. In the moment, she was very good to me. But now, any big fights we have, she throws it in my face, and when I call her out on it, she hits me with, well, am I wrong? Yeah, I swore to myself that everything personal is being buried forever. Story 13. I'll be honest, the biggest thing that prevents me from opening up to girls is that there seems to be no concept of personal with them. If I tell a girlfriend something, it's extremely likely her best friend will know it. Girls just have no concept of private information that's kept from their best friends. They tell each other everything. I don't know how you show him that you won't tell your best friend, because honestly, I wouldn't believe any woman who said she wouldn't tell her best friend. It's just such a different method of thinking, and when a guy opens up, it's extremely personal, so to have that information then shared can be devastating. Story 14. In my 20s, every intimate feeling I expressed to a girlfriend was eventually used against me in an argument. Revealing things to immature women just gives them ammunition. Story 15. My significant other liked to say she wanted me to be more open and vulnerable, and when I actually did, I was promptly told to stop being a baby, so that will never happen again. Story 16. Observing that she is not judgmental with other people, and not just people close to her, but even people that she heard of. Being taken seriously, whatever the subject, when being serious. When starting to open up, there may still be more coming later. Being surprised is fine, but don't act like all has been said until he says so. And even then, sometimes more painful memories resurface later. Never belittle pain. You can talk about it and make a logical reflection with him and try to show him it's not that much in an attempt to reduce stress and anxiety, but it's not easy. Not exactly understanding a person's pain is fine. Some people, however, confuse not understanding and not even being able to imagine it, thus refusing its existence. That would be all, from my point of view, to get someone to open up and show some vulnerability. If you want to go even further and maybe even step into role reversal, gentleness and more is needed. Story 17. Ask yourself a question. Do you want him to open up because you care about his mental health? Or do you want him to open up to feel special, to feel unique because you were the woman he opened up to? Also, experience tells us that as soon as a man actually opens up, not just says light self-deprecating jokes, but actually opens up, no matter how progressive you may be or think that you are, the inner instinct that we all have deep inside will see him as weak and suggest it's time to move on. Story 18. I had a mental breakdown in front of my fiancée one time after losing my job, 2 months before our daughter was born. A close cousin, the same week, overdosed and died on heroin, and I was the sole breadwinner and just lost it in a sea of tears. 6 months after my daughter was born, she left me. I found out it was partially because of me breaking down and being vulnerable. Now I have serious trust issues, and that will never be allowed to happen again. We aren't allowed to be vulnerable, and it is way too risky. Story 19, you cannot. And you cannot even fully blame society for this. Blame that one terrible woman every guy seems to date at least once, who will bring up your moment of vulnerability during a fight 3 months later to shame you for it. Story 20, never, ever take something he says and throw it back at him or mock him for it. You can kiss any vulnerability he might ever want to have in front of you goodbye. Story 21. I'd bark up a different tree if I were you. Every woman I've ever had the joy of being intimate with has wanted me to be more vulnerable. I've obliged a few of them, and all of them promptly started liking me less. Story 22. Simple. You point a gun at him, but you also give him a gun that he can point at you. It's called mutually assured destruction, and it satisfies your requirements. Story 23. Does he want or need to? Some people need to talk through things, while others need some quiet and space. Maybe he is the latter or is just fine. Be patient. If he needs you, he will tell you. When he does, don't shut him down and try not to be condescending. Not that you would, but someone congratulating me on opening up and being so brave would make me never want to do it with that person again. Story 24. How vulnerable and vulnerable about what? Not all opening up is the same. You can ease in with the small stuff. Just be there. Men will open up about the small things without most people even realizing it. Story 25. Be there like a training wheel. He doesn't necessarily always need you and will want to try and go on without help from anyone, which in most cases maybe he can. But just stay there, and when the time comes that he does need you, you will be there. But maybe it won't be you. Maybe it will be another person, and that's okay. Because the most important thing is he's opening up, right? Not that it's you. Don't pry. Don't explain over and over that he should talk to you if he's down. Don't tell him that if he doesn't open up, things will get worse. Speaking from my own life, I have very few people I open up to. I'm very picky about who it is, and it isn't all that often that I do. I've done very well on my own, and it works for me, but I've got those training wheels to lean on when I get tired. That being said, I seem to be the guy that people tell things to, comfortable being vulnerable with. I often hear, I don't know why, but I feel like I could tell you anything. I can't believe I just told you that. I've only ever told my best friend that. You're the only person I talk to about this stuff. The reason being, I believe, is because I am not judgmental whatsoever. So when he does come to you, do not judge him. Don't act surprised he is opening up or make a big deal about it. Just have the conversation like it was any other conversation. Be there to listen and not only to critique. Understand where he is coming from and hear him out. Maybe open up about yourself as well so he feels more comfortable sharing. If it feels like he is talking to a brick wall, he will likely stop sharing. But if it's a back and forth conversation, then he will be more likely to share things with you.